Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah. Total Abba Yahweh for another day that we can rejoice and be glad in. Told him for his blessing and make us rich and add no sorrow with it. Most of all, told him for his word, being a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our paths. When you got the word, that's a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your paths. You know how to go in and come out among things, and you know how to keep yourself pure because you can see what's around you. But when you go in and you can't see, you ain't gonna come out pure, and you ain't gonna get too far being pure. You have to understand that I've been saying for almost a whole season and a little half that we're in the time that you're gonna have need of one another, to know them that labor among you, to know how to live with each other and amend your ways in your doing. You're going to have to amend your attitude, your behavior, your ways, because you have need of one another in the body. If you're out of the body, it's because you're a Gentile. You're in the body, it's because you're a Hebrew and you worship Yahweh in spirit and in truth, because that's where the law is at. The law is in our mind. He's written it within our mind to do his will, to keep his will by the Ruach Kadesh. The Holy Spirit came into this world to reproof the world of sin and righteousness and of judgment. This morning I'm going to speak to you concerning what you're dealing with, because you're dealing with something in sin and iniquity. And you either serving Yahweh or you serving him not. You can't serve from two tables. You can't eat from two tables. You can try, but both of them know that you in the middle trying to eat from two tables. You're a hypocrite. And a hypocrite serve the devil, Satan. There's no in between. They gonna know who you serve. That's why Yeshua told the Pharisee, you're your father the devil, and the work of your father you shall do. For he was a murderer from the beginning and abide not in the truth. When he speaketh, because there's no truth in him. That was in John 8th chapter, verse 44. Letting him say unto them, you generation of vipers. That's how dangerous they was. And you still don't see religion people as Pharisees. Yeshua said, beware of the doctrine, the leaven of the Pharisee. Beware of their doctrine. And you're not aware of anything you're surrounded by. You go into these buildings, you play the games that they play with you, but they make sure when you come in, you leave your money before you go out, because they live off of you. You can't come to their place and live. You're in the time of need and you don't have a place to stay. You can't go to these churches and ask them to put you up in a place to stay, because you've been worthy over 10, 15 years paying your tithes and offering. They'll look at you like you're a fool, because they ain't finna put you up nowhere to live until things get better. If they did to one, they got to do it to all, because they got to have all things in common. There should be no one lacking among you. That was in the day of Pentecost. That was in the day when the Hebrews came together in one mind, one spirit, to worship Yahweh in spirit and in truth. And they came together to serve one another as they served their maker and creator of the universe, the heaven and earth. This morning I'm going to talk about, because our son had another year added to his life. You may understand what this means, and you may not, but I'm going to allow you to understand what has taken place in your walk as you walk out of your house into the things that is from your house, and you can bring it into your house and entertain yourself with the things that are on the outside of your house. You bring it in. Amusement. But this is what takes place when another year is added to your life. You will see that you can't call it happy birthday. You can't address that. No male can say happy birthday to another man, because it's not in him logic, physically, to do what a female do when she have birth. Because every female, once they in childbearing and the child come forth out of them, she is happy after the child has been birthed, and to her every day is a birth day. Only to the female. That's the one to give birth on that day. And she remember that birth because she labored to bring forth. We as men can't do that. We can never say happy birthday. What we can say as we come to that day that we came into the world by the birth of our mother. Now, virgin can't say happy birthday neither. She ain't birthed no child yet. Only one that can say happy birthday is the woman that has given birth in that day. So that day belonged to her. Every woman that gave birth in that day. When you try to say happy birthday to one another and you ain't birthed a child into this world, and from that time you birthed them, you're supposed to bring them up in the way they should go, you're a hypocrite. You're deceiving yourself. And when a man say that to another man, he has no idea what he's saying. He's just a cliche speaking a word because the word has been spoken as a cliche to everybody. But when it take place, a man's supposed to consider the day of his birth. And he's supposed to consider from that day until the full season of life come back around to the day he came into this world. He should understand that in summer and spring, winter and fall, one of those days he was birthed in, one of those days of that event of summer, spring, winter, fall, he's going to be taken from here. So from that day, all the way around the cycle of the fourth season of life, he should examine himself before his Creator. He should consider within himself when that day come to him, the day that he was birthed from his mother womb, that he and what he is doing, is it examining himself? Is it proving himself? Is it watching to see what step and what he say and how he treat people from season to season? So when that day come back around again, he can allow himself to see, I examine myself when another year is added to my life. From 1 year to another year in the fourth season been added to me, I examine myself. Now, in 2 Corinthians, this is what Saul was saying to the Gentiles, the Christian Gentiles, that he was trying to let them understand what they was dealing with in themselves. In the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5, Saul Paul was saying this to them. Examine yourselves. When another year is added to your life, that's the first thing you should get down and consider. Let me examine myself. Let me see what is taking place with me in the world today. How I go out, how I come in. What can I learn in another season of life? How should I treat my wife and my children another season in my life that being added to me? Because you ain't gave birth. It's not a birthday. But your tradition of lies and hypocrisy and deceit, and you use it as a cliche to keep saying these things every year in, every year out, just like your happy New Year's, your Christmas, year in, year out, you do not change your behavior or your thinking to consider, what is I'm saying? A male, you, not a female. You can't give birth. So why would you say happy birthday? That's only for the woman that gave birth on that day, and she's happy from the labor being over with. It's done. Then from then on, she can see her child grow and mature as she wean them and bring them up. She continue to be happy in that day of birth. But the child, she have to communicate. When another year is added to your life, you should examine from what took place from the past, what you're going to do in the present, and how you're going to be in the future. You got to stay the course and examine yourself. Whether you be in the truth. If you don't examine yourself to see whether you're in the truth, speaking the truth, living the truth, then you going to be dealing with a lying spirit. You'll be just lying when you thinking you telling the truth because you're telling a lie out of tradition of man's. Prove your own self. That is examining yourself, proving your own self. Another year being added to my life, let me prove myself worthy of being in this earth. Let me prove myself worthy how I'm not going to act like I act this season of my life from the past season, the fourth season. In winter, I was wicked and evil. In the summer, I was evil and wicked and malice and jealous. In the spring, I laid down and had no companionship. So I was so messed up. I want to amend my ways, my attitude how I talk to people and stuff. Then you come in the fall. These 4 seasons of life, this is the way you've been behaving yourself. Out of the 4 seasons. Because you refuse to repent and examine yourself, prove yourself unto your maker that allows you to be in this earth 4 seasons. Through his mercy. 4 seasons that you should see you're doing in your behavior, your attitude and your ways, that you need to repent and turn from your evil and wicked ways. But you want to celebrate a birthday. You want to say, well, this day is my day. I'm finna celebrate my birthday. You ain't gave birth, and you ain't got a day to do anything but to prove yourself worthy that you may have 4 seasons of life again, that you may come up under the mercy of Yahweh to know what to do with your life. Prove your own self. Know you not your own self. You got to know this your own self. Not someone trying to wish you a birthday. You're a hypocrite. You got to prove your own self. How that Yeshua HaMashiach is in you. You got to prove that. Is he in you? How you talk, how you walk, how you behave yourself. Is he in you? You can go to church all you want to, but he's not in you. You're just a church goer. You're just a Gentile going to church with the tradition of this system, of the Pharisees and the Herodotus, Herons. You're just a traditional person. Because Yeshua is not going to be in you with your attitude, your behavior, your ways. The way you talk, way you walk, way you dress, way you eat, way you speak about things dealing with matters of life. It's not going to be in you. What's going to be in you is sin. And sin is the transgression of Yahweh's law. That's what's going to be in you. Now, how that Yeshua is in you except you be reprobates. There's no in between here. He's either going to be in you or you're going to be reprobate. With the things that I just said to you will be in you. And Yahweh will have nothing to do with you but let you reap what you sow each year in and year out. Because you don't know the hour of visitation when Yahweh going to pour out his wrath upon you. And you're going to walk right into his wrath. And you don't know if you're going to walk into old timers. You don't know what disease going to overtake you. You don't know when your limbs going to fail you. You don't know when your mind going to be taken from you. But he'll let these things take place because you're reprobate. You refuse to let Yeshua in you because you're going after the world to celebrate the world ways and how the world attitude and how the world behave itself when they trying to say happy birthday. Now, there's a meaning to what I'm saying. And I'm going to bring that meaning out. Why I said they are trying to say happy birthday. Because you're a partaker. 1 Timothy 5:22. Be not partaker of no man's sin. Keep yourself pure. Well, you're a partaker. When you allow yourself to be entertained with an emperor. An emperor is not subject to his people. The people are subject to the emperor. Rome put in a policy that you're living in right now as I speak. You're living in a Roman system that has got advanced to the future to know how to deal with the mob. But you're living in a Roman system. A Roman calendar, you're living by a Roman rule. But you can't see it because you think that you need to vote and get your representative together to represent you. And you think the Democrats and the Republicans, whichever one they may be, is for the people. They're not. They never have. They're for the system. That they get into, they find themselves in a system and they become loyal to the system. They care less about the poor and needy. Let's read on here. I'm going to turn here to the book of Psalms, and I'm going to come back and express why I said, starting out, about birthdays. Book of Psalms, and it's dealing with examine yourself. Because you refuse to see yourself in this position. This is what Yahweh said here. In the book of Tehillim, chapter 26, the book of Psalm, chapter 26, verse 1. You won't do this. I have said this in my podcast. I have said this. I have ministered this. And it's necessary for me to say it again as I just read it to you in 2 Corinthians 13, chapter, verse 5. What you should do when another season, a full season added to your life. Because you ain't gave birth. It's time for you to realize what a birthday means. It's only for the female women that gave birth to the male or female. And if they gave birth, they should gave birth from their husband, the male. And with that, they don't produce a bastard or a whore out of their womb. This is what is taking place here. Because marriage is honorable in all things in the sight of Yahweh in the marriage of a man and woman. One. Not two or three. Just one. Husband and wife. And the bed is undefiled what they do in their bed. But whoremongers and adulteries, Yahweh say he's going to judge. And that's in Hebrew 13 chapter. Now, as I read this right here, look what Yahweh said. Judge me, O Yahweh, for I have walked in my integrity. On that day that you say happy birthday, what integrity did you have inside of you that you say you have walked in out of the 4 seasons of life? 4 seasons of life. I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in Yahweh, therefore I shall not slide. Have you backslided out of the 4 seasons? We're dealing with perfection. I'm not dealing with lukewarmness. I'm not dealing with the hypocrite. I'm not dealing with those that are hearers of the word, but not doers of the word, because they don't have the Spirit in them. They don't have Yeshua in them. Examine me, O Yahweh, and prove me. Once again, This is what Yahweh wants when a man and woman been given another year, from 1 year to another year out of the 4 seasons of life, to stand before him on that day and say, examine me, O Yahweh. I'm examining myself. These 4 seasons I have walked contrary to you. I slipped up. I said things I ought not to say. I didn't repent. I didn't ask for forgiveness. This is another year coming forth in the 4 seasons of life that I can start this day and let myself be proven before you that I want to walk in my integrity. What I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. Because I want to perform my duty while I'm breathing, while I'm living. Because when I'm gone, you're going to judge me. You're going to prove me before my soul, my living soul, that I cannot lie to you. And I'm not in the flesh no more. My soul is being required in the day of judgment, what I said and what I did in earth, in this earth. How you treat one another, how you refuse to humble yourself, how you refuse to walk humble with your Creator, how you refuse to come in among your brothers and sisters and have all things in common, how you refuse to know that you cannot live in this earth with your attitude and behavior unto yourself, because if you live unto yourself, you're going to die unto yourself. In misery and sorrow and in grief and in despair. Because Yahweh is not going to add you to the body. You're not of his. But you use his name. You go to church, but you're not of his. That's your doing, not his doing. His doing is to bring you into the fold so you can have a good shepherd that will lay down his life for the fold that you can live with. And you can enjoy your days under the sun as you've been perfected to become blameless, to be found without a spot, wrinkle, or blemish. You got time, 4 seasons. You got 4 seasons to work in your life, because one of those seasons your life going to be taken. And you didn't work out your salvation with fear and tremble. Examine me, O Yahweh. Prove me and try my reign, try my mind and my thoughts, my heart, my thoughts. For your loving kindness before my eyes, and I have walked in your truth. I have not sat with vain person, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and will not sit with the wicked. This is what you should be saying unto him when he's giving you another year to be added to your life, how you going to walk in the newness of life. Now, I'm going to deal with Caesar, because this is all about a person in the system trying to serve 2 masters, trying to eat from 2 tables. In the book of Matthew, chapter 22, we're going to know here in verse 15, these are the hypocrites. They're trying to serve 2 masters and trying to eat from 2 tables. They're the hypocrites. And they also know they have the authority in their possession to do what they want to do because who they serve. Verse 15. Then when the Pharisees took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk, trap him in his talk. The Pharisees, these are the Gentiles that was not of Yahweh. They're of the seed of Satan. They're of their father the devil. The Gentile has not been grafted in. Gentile is not converted. Gentiles are not born again. Gentiles don't have the Ruach Kodesh. So that means they of their father, and the work of their father they shall do. Make no mistake. If you don't want to examine yourself and prove yourself, when another season is added to your life, You are a Gentile. You can call yourself a Jew. You can call yourself a Christian. You still gonna come out as a Gentile. And they sent unto him their disciples. And they sent out unto him their disciples. They sent out, the Pharisees sent out their disciples with the heralders, saying, Master, we know that you are true. We know you are true. And they're trying to entangle him with their words. We know you're true. And teaches the way of Yahweh in truth. Not in faith, in truth. And truth is universal. Wherever you go in this planet Earth, wherever you think you're going to go after the planet Earth, you're going to have to deal with truth, what you have said and what you have done. That's why they say they know that he walked and talked in truth. Because he came from truth. So they knew already what they were saying, but they tried to instigate him. They trying to get him thinking they can puff him up by saying, we know you speak the truth. We know you serve Yahweh in truth. Neither care you for any man. We know you don't care for any man in authority or any man that walked the earth because we know who you are. But this was taking place to try to entrap him with words. The care part is going to come out. You're going to see who they was talking about. We know you don't care about Caesar. But we got to slowly speak this word unto you. We know you care not for any man. For you regard not the person of man. You have no respect for the person of man. You don't put one man above another man. And you don't put no man below another man. You don't have respect of bribery or gifts. You don't use those things. You speak the truth to all men. To be fair and telling them the truth about all things under the sun. They say they knew that. Tell us, therefore. Now you tell us, because we know these things that we're saying to you. What thinkest you? What thinkest you? We want to know what you think about the person we're talking about. We finna say it, this person, before you. We finna tell you who this person is. Tell us, therefore, what thinkest you? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? They asked him that question. Now I'm going to ask you this question. Is it lawful for you to sit and to enjoy giving tribute unto your president at the White House lawn when that house is paid by taxpayer, when the money for that house is having revenues from taxes from the people of the United States of America, is being turned into a arena to please Caesar? And to please Caesar, you got to render unto Caesar. And when Caesar is not subject to no man, but every man is subject to Caesar, then when Caesar say he want to be entertained, then you start entertaining him. Because you render unto Caesar what is Caesar. Let's read on here. Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? That's the question you should consider. This tribute was not done on his property, in his dwelling place, on his land. It was done on the people land. And the people supposed to be of the country in which they have voted for to put this into office of the people, by the people, and for the people of the United States of America. Now we supposed to be Americans. That the White House was given unto us for we supposed to have knowing who's in it and what they're doing with the money that we're all paying taxes to. Now, if I want to have a barbecue out in the back of my place, if I was eating meat or something, or I was doing the sinful things in the nature of the flesh, that's your liberty. That's your property. That means I have not shared and opened it up for anybody else to come in and do what I'm doing. It's private property. The lawn is supposed to be private property of the citizen of the United States. That's why they say no trespass. That's why you can't come in and do anything. Because it belongs to every citizen of the United States. What's taking place here? The Pharisee knew that Caesar was going to take the oath and use it as a dictator on behalf of who's serving who. So the Pharisee were going to trick him, trying to trick him who he run to. But Yeshua perceived their wickedness. He understood their wickedness. Because what they were doing was in wickedness. And said, why tempt you me, you hypocrites? And that's what took place on this week of event that you thought you should be able to be partaker of the celebration of the President of the United States birthday. And I told you, that's a hypocrite. But you know that. But you didn't know the means of the word birthday. How and who supposed to give thanks for the birth of bringing a child into the world, the female. Not just because she's a female, it's because the one that brought a child from the male brought a child into the world and she gave birth, not the male, not a virgin. She ain't been with child yet. It's only the woman that is with child can give honor to the birth, and you can say happy birthday to her every day of her life, not one day out of a year. Every day of her life, when she gave birth to the children that she birthed, it's a day that she gave birth, not a male, and not a female that has not been married. Because if she give birth, being a female, if it's male, it's a bastard. It's a female, she's a harlot, gonna become a whore. Let's read on. And he said, show me, this is what Yeshua said, show me the tribute money. Show me your tribute, your coin money. Show me what you got. And they brought unto him a penny, a coin, with a symbol, an image on it. Now you know Yahweh has told you, you should not make unto you any graven image. Nothing in heaven, nothing on earth. You know any image is idolatry. You know that. But some of you don't care. Your care is not toward Yahweh. Your care is toward Caesar. And he said unto them, who is this image and inscription upon this coin? Who is it? This is what you care for. They said unto him, Caesar. So when this statement came into Yeshua, they trying to trick him with Caesar to see who he was running into. He knew and perceived their wickedness because he was the son of his father. And he came in his father's name to do his will. He didn't come in Caesar's name to do Caesar's will. They said to him, Caesar. Then said he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar, and unto Yahweh the things that are Yahweh. Now, when they heard this, they marvelous. They couldn't proceed no further because the entrapment was exposed. They would run to Caesar. And Yeshua said, because you are Caesar, then run unto Caesar. Why are you trying to tempt me? I'm not serving Caesar. I don't run anything to Caesar. I came to run the souls back unto my Father, to gather those elect, to gather the lost sheep of Israel, to bring in the lost tribe of Israel, to bring in salvation unto the Gentile if they be born again, converted, and their sin blotted out, that they may be grafted in the newness of life, walking in the laws and statutes of life. You can't serve two masters. Now, when that took place, the president allowed his people that served him, he became an emperor. And an emperor is something that took place with Caesar. He wasn't the first emperor, but he was the first one in rulership as a dictator inside the Republic of Rome. The senator made him and allowed him to become the ruler of Rome as a dictator, not an emperor. Augustus Caesar became the first emperor of Rome from the fall, the killing, the assassination of Caesar. And it caused civil war to be inside of the Roman Empire. So they wanted emperors. From then on, everybody going to be subject to the emperor. And the emperor was not subject to no law inside of the Roman Empire. Everybody was subject to him. But Julius Caesar set this up. And the senator allowed him to take power into his own hand, to do what he wanted to do in the midst of the Roman Empire. There's nothing new under the sun. That what has been shall be. And it's taking place. What is taking place now? Yeshua told them about this right here. He gave them something that they could not entangle him with, dealing with Caesar, because he wasn't running anything to Caesar. In the book of John, Johanna, 19th chapter, look what Yeshua said in this matter here. He was saying something to them that they was going to proceed to understand. In verse 19th chapter, verse 12, dealing with Pilate. Now, Pilate running unto Caesar. He's a Roman citizen, governor. He's in authority of the land. But he running unto Caesar. And the Pharisees was Gentiles, what they call Jews, Gentile Jews, or I can just call you Gentile, because that's what a Jew is, still a Gentile, using a title. Instead of saying Gentile, he's saying a Jew, but he's not a Hebrew. They're not Hebrews. Okay. Let's read here. Verse 12. And from therefore Pilate sought to release him. Now he have heard the argument, had heard what the Gentiles were trying to say about Yeshua, calling themselves Jews. Okay. But they was of Satan's seed, as Pharisees, calling themselves Jews. That's why they changed the word from Hebrew to Jews, because they was not Hebrew, and they know it was not Hebrew. But the people unlearned could not learn the difference between a Jew and a Gentile, because the Gentile Jew is still a Gentile. And that's why Yeshua exposed him. You're not of Abraham's seed, because if you was of Abraham's seed, you would know of me. Let's read on. Sought to release him. But the Jews, the Gentile, cried out, saying, if you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Now that put fear into Pilate. Not the fear of Yahweh, of the Creator that created him and allowed him to move and have his being in this earth. He feared Caesar because Caesar could deal with his flesh. He didn't care about his soul. He had no conscience with his soul. No conscience about his soul. He feared the flesh. What Caesar could do to his flesh, being in that authority, he didn't want to lose that authority. He had so much he had unto himself, being a governor. Let's read on. While Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yeshua forth and sat down in the judgment seat in the place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew. You see, because Yeshua was a Hebrew. Now the scribes error because they was of Satan. They shouldn't have let the word, this is where Yahweh had his scribes at, in the midst of the scribes of Satan, to let you know that the Hebrew of the Hebrews was the place that we're going to be called in Hebrew. You can't call that place in Jews or Jew. Wasn't called that place. It was called that place in Hebrew because Yeshua was a Hebrew for the Hebrews people. Let's read on. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour he said unto the Gentile Jews, behold your king. If they were Hebrews, even rejecting him, they still would have said, yes, he's our king, but we reject him. We love Caesar. They didn't put no difference in that. What they put the difference in is what I'm about to read to you. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, shall I crucify your king? He asked them a question. Shall I crucify your king? If you say you are Hebrews. Pilate knew they were not Hebrews. They were still Gentiles. Listen to what he said. The chief priest answered of the Pharisee, we have no king but Caesar. That was the chief priest saying who their king was. They didn't say Yeshua was the king of kings. They didn't say Yeshua was the king of the Hebrews. They said we don't have a king. He could be king of the Hebrews, but he's not king of us. Caesar's our king. We fear Caesar. We don't fear who he's talking about. That's the attitude and behavior in today's land. You don't have a fear of Yahweh to allow yourself to say to somebody else and let them know what this podcast is saying to you. And if you are Hebrew, you should be saying it to a Gentile. You're not converted. You ain't been grafted in yet. You still running unto Caesar. What is Caesar? You have not started running unto Yahweh, which is Yahweh, which is your soul. All souls are mine, said Yahweh, and the soul that sent it, it shall die. All souls are his. Whether you serve him or not, he is the creator of all things. You're going to meet him one day whether you want to see him or not. You got to come into the will of Yahweh to get righteousness in your soul, to start walking and examining and living in it when you think you're celebrating a day with somebody else to tell you, especially a male, that you should celebrate my birthday with me, be partake of my birthday that I'm going to let everybody be whole and become part of. When you become part of it, you're a partaker of another man's sin. You ain't keeping yourself pure. 1 Timothy 5, verse 22. Be not partaker of no man's sin. Keep yourself pure. But when this took place on the White House lawn, something was taking place on behalf of the emperor, making everybody subject to him. This is the way the system Satan has designed. Because you can't serve Satan, you can't serve Yahweh. But Satan will let you think that you're serving Yahweh on behalf of your hypocrite. Being a hypocrite. And your hypocrisy, thinking that you can say one thing and do another thing. And when this took place right here, they said we have no king but Caesar. Now, over here, I'm going to read something to you. And I'm going to read it to you out here. We'll show you what Caesar did, how he got the people. All of them were subject to him and what he gave them to see and entertain them with. He entertained them with two men fighting. One against another. Fighting one against another. The man is in the image and likeness of Yahweh. The woman is in the image and likeness of the man. Now, when this took place, you got two images of man brawling, drawing blood to entertain Caesar and his host and his guests on behalf of what they did back there in Rome in the amphitheater, which they call the amphitheater, the arena of the gladiators. The gladiators. They came into shedding blood of one another and saluting Caesar by saying, we that are about to die salute you. Because they were dying on behalf of Caesar, entertaining his guests. His own lust for fighting, blood to be shed. Let's read over here. I said 1 Timothy, 5th chapter. Let me see here. 1 Timothy chapter 3, not 5, chapter 3. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Now, out of the scripture, you see that Yahweh's scribes had to put this in. And the rest of the scribes could not denounce it. Because it had no meaning to them. Well, we doing this anyhow, so you can put it in if you want to. But it was for the elect. It was for the elect to know what spirit they was. It was for the elect that women didn't have to see men out there brawling, shedding blood, and killing one another when they should be a Abba, should be a husband to their wife, bringing up their child in the way they should go. How to walk humble in the land, how to communicate, how to understand another fellow man in the same likeness and image of his creator. But these women was pleasing themselves with Caesar. They was pleasing themselves with the authority that Caesar was saying to them, you're all subject to me. I will never be subject to y'all. First Timothy chapter 3. This is what Paul was telling Timothy concerning the office of a bishop. Now I'm going to give you the office because the bishop is a man, not a woman. And this is partaker of every man. The desire to be a man, to stand on his own 2 feet. This is what Paul was trying to tell Timothy concerning this matter. I'm going to start at verse 3. Not given to wine, nor striker. You can't hit nobody. Not given of filthy lucres, money of entertainment, money of corruption, but patient, not a brawler, a fighter. You cannot get into this position of manship over another man if you are a brawler of man. Because once you start beating on a man, you're only puffing yourself up. Now, I'm going to say this to every African Hebrew American concerning our history, but I'm not partake of it. I see it through the spirit of the Ruach Kadesh, how we have error in so many things, doing the tradition of man. From captivity, we learned these things. When we thought we was free, we started doing it among ourselves. From the entertainers of Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, all the boxers in the world, that spirit came out of Rome to entertain Caesar's guests. And if you want your freedom, it's because Caesar let you go free. Because you please him enough, he can get somebody else to replace you easily. And all the people, multitude, different nationality, was all gathered together to be entertained as Caesar's guests. And seeing two men fighting and shedding blood in an arena. But it never happened on the taxpayer lawns until this day. The Caesar showed you you're not subject to nobody but him, because he ain't going to be subject to you. It's not your house, it's my house. And in my house, I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's what happened. But when this took place, when he said brawler, fighting, shedding blood, striker of man. Now, Paul didn't stop there. He also told Titus, and the scribes of Yahweh put this in the book of Titus, chapter 3. We're going to start verse 1, because I want you to see how he addressed this. And you can see how the scribes of the Pharisees is putting you into place. The Yahweh scribe also puts something into place for us to understand. Because you got two scribes writing this. You got Satan's scribe, you got Yahweh's scribe. And when Yeshua said, well, 2 or 3 gather together in my name, there I'm in the midst. There was no more than 2 or 3 gathered together in Yeshua's name and in the name of Yahweh to be among the scribes of Satan's synagogue of evildoers. So they knew that the Spirit was going to allow them to put something in there for the elect's sake, those that had ears to hear what the Spirit is saying, those that studied to show themselves approved unto Yahweh, not Caesar. Studied to show themselves approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, but rightly divine the word of truth, not faith. Rightly divine the word of truth. And when you rightly divide the word of truth, the spirit of truth gonna set you free from the spirit of lies, error, deceit, and hypocrisy. So what took place here, a person that is unlearned would think that this is what they should obey. First, the magistrates and the authority figures. Put them in mind to be subject to principality, to authority. Yes, the spirit of the law of Yahweh will give you the mind to render unto Yahweh the laws and statutes and commandments, what you should do and what you should not do. That way you're above the reproach of doing things that the principality of power can condemn you in. Because you're not a transgressor. You're not an evildoer. Because your mind is in the will of Yahweh. And power to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work. To be ready. To speak evil of no man. Now, once again, I told you slavery, the scribes of Satan told the slave to obey their master in everything. That's not Yahweh scribe saying that. That's the Pharisee scribe saying that. This is the Pharisee scribe saying this right here. Ready to every good work. You can't be ready for every good work if you don't ask questions concerning the work you're going to do. Because I'm going to ask questions. What kind of work is I'm finna do? What is the work that you want me to do? What is the scale of doing it? I'm going to ask that question. And if the answer don't come back right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put my hand to it. Because the word can be that you go out and you kill somebody. The word can be that you bury somebody alive. The word can be that you torture somebody. The word can be whatever they want it to be on behalf of who's doing it, because you can't ask no questions. So this is the scribes of Satan saying this. The scribe of Yahweh put their writing down for us. To speak evil of no man, to be no brawler. Okay, when they voted to put this in, the scribes of Yahweh said, I got to put in, if you saying to speak evil of no man, then I'm going to put in to be no brawler of no man. See, because those two don't go together. If you speak evil of a man, and a man don't like what you're saying, that man going to come against you. He going to fight you, or he going to come up against you. If you speak evil of another man's wife, in the midst of that man gonna fight you. Or get a gun and kill you, or have a gun to shoot you. Because you spoke evil of his wife and his family. So you see, there's two scribes are speaking here. One is of the Pharisee, one of them is of Yahweh. And Yahweh's scribe said you can't be brawler of no man. You got to have patience. Consider what you say to a man before you say it. Because you got to follow peace with all men. Holiness without, no man gonna see Yahweh. So you have to consider, if you're a brawler of man, what spirit you of? What spirit was there entertaining you on another man saying it's his birthday? And everybody going to be subject to him. Disregard the Constitution of the United States concerning what the White House represents. It's not supposed to be the president's house. He's only in stewardship on behalf of the people. And the people are supposed to elect him in there. But you have turned to Caesar. And Caesar is not subject to you. You are subject to Caesar.